Okay, well, welcome to the Seven Mythbusters. We figured we'd do this one a little bit different than our usual classes, where it's kind of like just educational information. We figured it'd be fun to talk about myths because there's so many myths when it comes to our hair and what we've learned either growing up, or maybe a hairdresser even told us, or your favorite shampoo commercial told you something, and you think that that's the truth. So we figured it'd be fun to debunk and bust these myths that you might have grown up listening to. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. So first of all, we're going to talk about if your hair, do you know if your hair is alive or is it dead? Then should you shampoo your hair every day? The more suds, the better, is what we've heard most of us growing up. Or if you have oily hair, you can't use oil on your hair. Or do you have dandruff? Is it really dandruff? You can only finger curl your hair or comb your curly hair, and split ends can be repaired. So these are the 7 things we're going to talk about today. And I think it's going to be fun.
I'm so excited.
Liana, first of all, can you just tell us a little bit of your background? That way everybody knows, like, why are these 2 girls talking to us about hair? Please introduce yourself. Tell us.
Of course. Hello, my name is Liana. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I've been licensed for about 16 years. So I have about 16 years of hair under my belt. I have a specialty in color correction. And then I've also been able to work on a few videos, a couple movies, and yeah, in the film industry. So it's been fun.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where Liana and I met each other, was helping each other do that. So that's been really fun. As far as myself, I'm also a licensed cosmetologist. My dad, I learned from him, he became a school in order to teach me how to do hair. He had his own salon growing up. He worked for, if you've ever heard of Vidal Sassoon, it's a pretty, especially in the 80s, it was quite popular. That's where he learned. So I got my training from him, and I am nowhere close to as amazing of a hairdresser as he is, but I also love color correcting is one of my favorite things as well. I love doing color. I love doing highlights, hair extensions, all that kind of thing was my kind of what I focused on also. But it's fun, and it's great that we can use the education that we have, our backgrounds, both Liana and I, to then bring it into a more holistic, natural type hair care. And also, again, debunk some of these myths. So first of all, we're going to ask if you can participate with us sometimes. So you can either just raise your hand or type in the chat, depending on the question that we're going to ask. So go ahead, Liana. What's our first question for them?
All right. Is your hair living or dead? Let's see. What does everybody think? Is your hair living or is it dead? Rachel. We got one person saying it's dead, another living. Okay.
Someone says dead once it comes out.
Oh, cool. Okay. Paulina, would you like to answer or should I answer?
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so your hair is actually dead. The living part of your hair lives in your scalp, in your follicles, and that's where the growth process actually happens. So whatever comes out in reality is dead hair. So congratulations to those who guessed, and now you learn, and those who didn't, now you learned something new. Your hair is actually where the living part is down in here.
Mm-hmm. So the reason why this is so important to understand is because a lot of us, I think hair, like you need to take care of your hair. Where in reality, yes, you need to take care of this, right? You need to trim it and do all the things to it. But if you're not taking care of your scalp, where your hair grows from, the part that is alive, then your hair is not going to be as healthy. So that's why when we talk about scalp health, it's so important, because we want to make sure that underneath the scalp, right, is nice and healthy, not just the dead part that we actually see. Okay, myth number 2: shampooing oily hair daily. How many times have you heard that, Lee? Like, my hair's oily, I need to shampoo it every single day.
Multiple times. And not only that, but I've also heard like, I need to wash my hair every time I work out because my hair gets super, super oily right after, and I need to make sure that it's clean.
Yep, I've heard that too. Okay, I would like to see from those of you here, who here, you can put your hand up, like your little emoji hand, who thinks that if your hair is oily, you have to shampoo every day? Okay, Keegan says yes. All right. Everybody else seems to think no, because nobody else put their hand up. So it's true that the job of a shampoo is to strip hair of unwanted dirt and the oils. However, you can easily overdo it. And what happens is that the suds from shampoo can actually strip the oils from your hair, and it causes for the sebum to overcompensate and cause more oil. So it's almost counterproductive shampooing your hair every day, because you're stripping your hair from the oils from your hair, which then makes your scalp cause more sebum, which causes it to be even oilier. Interesting, right? Exactly, same as our skin.
Exactly. And according to I can't pronounce her name. Delisle,
I think.
Delisle, the owner of Happy Girls, says that your body is a self-regulating machine. And like Helena just said, we will overproduce oils to compensate for what was lost. So when we shampoo too much, it could lead to your hair becoming brittle and itchy. I don't know if any of you, but some of my clients, that's happened before. So
yeah,
no need to shampoo.
Exactly. And the thing that you really have to look at is if your scalp is very oily, trying to find out why it's causing. It's not just like that's the way it is and that's the way it'll always be. There's probably a reason why your scalp is overproducing oils. So you need to find out what might be causing that. So it could even be your diet. If you are eating a lot of fatty, greasy foods, it will cause your skin and your scalp to create more sebum, more oils. So also not using as heavy of products on your hair will also help that, for your scalp not to be as oily. So you might say, okay, but if I don't wash it, it's oily, so I can't go around with oily hair. This is true, but you have to know that you can actually train your scalp to not be as oily. And it's going to be a pain for the first, I would say, what would you say, Lee? Like maybe a couple of weeks?
Yeah, for me, it took like 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
It took me 3 weeks. Like I noticed that like I felt the oil, like I just felt it and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks terrible. And then, I embraced the bun, right? But now I can go up to like maybe a week and a half without having to wash my hair. So it works. You just got to give it some time and work it through.
Yeah. You have to pass that. Like Anna, you said like 3 days and you couldn't stand it. That's how it is, because your scalp is like, okay, wait, I'm used to it being washed. I'm used to you removing this. What's going on? But really, I tried for a week. My head looked like I had a bottle of oil on my head. Oh boy. You really do need to pass that. Like, and if you do it every 3 days, that's fine. But you can start working up. So 1 week, if you're doing it every day, try going 2 days, and it's going to be oily. That's okay. Do 2 days for 2 weeks. and then move it up to 3 days for another couple of weeks, and then and so forth and so on, you definitely will see a difference. You just have to, you don't want to go overboard at first. Like you don't want to go a whole week without washing it because your scalp doesn't know what's going on, but it will thank you for it later. It really will. It's amazing that I could even go almost 2.5 weeks now without having to wash my hair if I didn't want to, because my scalp isn't oily. It really is amazing. But of course, there it comes to a point where you need to wash. You need to wash your scalp. It needs to be cleansed. Yeah. What you can do is do rinses also with water. Rinse it out with water, but don't use shampoo if you're finding it to be too oily. Try that as well.
Yeah. And a lot has to do with your products as well. Like if you are putting a ton of products in your hair, and then obviously all that is going to build up. So maybe cut back a little bit on the products, and then you start seeing, and then and even then, like you'll start noticing the difference as time passes, like with even your hair health will change as well. So just a little tip there.
Very true. Yeah. Want to go for 3?
Sure. So myth number 3, the more suds, the better. What do you guys think? Do bubbles equal clean hair? Before we jump, I think we have a question.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Is that why the scalp can be itchy and cause dryness?
Like too many products? Is that, I'm wondering if you meant, Keegan, if you put too many products in your hair, because what happens is it's like, imagine makeup, right? You have makeup. If you never wash the makeup off your face, what's going to happen? It's going to break out because it's not breathing as well, right? It's going to clog your pores. So if you use a ton of like dry shampoo or thick gels or anything like that, your scalp, it's going to get clogged too. And that could also end up causing the dry, itchy scalp.
Yes. And I will attest to that. If that is the case, because like personally, when I was going through that motion of like trying to cut down my hair wash days, I was okay. I was like, I'm going to jump in with the dry shampoo and refresh it. And honestly, it made it worse. Like it made my strands super oily. There was a time that I even like texted Paulina because I was like so desperate. I didn't know what to do, but it was product buildup. So if you start off with a clean slate, then your hair automatically itself will self-regulate, as we just said like a couple minutes ago.
Awesome.
Okay, so going back, the more suds, the better.
No. Everybody's saying no.
All right. And that is correct. So although bubbles are super fun and we are taught that bubbles equal clean, in reality, it's not. Bubbles are a byproduct of harsh detergents that are added into your shampoo. And it actually could strip your hair of the nutrients that it needs. So although we think that bubbles equal clean, there is really no deeper cleanse than a shampoo that has no chemicals and no detergents and sulfates and things like that. Yeah, so suds don't have cleansing agents, unfortunately. And personally, I think that was a hard one to learn. I don't know about you, Paulina. Was that one hard for you?
Well, you know what? Not really. I'll tell you why. Because my dad, I remember learning that from my dad. He was always anti-suds. He always says they do not clean your hair. And I remember growing up, he would use shampoos, even though they still were like, they had some synthetic stuff in it, but he always kind of said that about the suds. So I remembered that. I had started using shampoos that used suds, but then when I stopped using it again, I remembered what my dad had said. And I was like, oh, that's what he meant.
Awesome.
Suds are full of air. Yeah.
Suds are full of air. Yes. For me, it was kind of like the opposite. I mean, obviously when I was in school, we were taught about like the suds, right? We were talking about suds and like working it into the hair, the bubblier, the better. But I didn't learn it until later on that how bad it really is for you and for your hair scalp health. So it took some time. And when I like initially switched over to like sulfate free and like no suds, it was an adjustment. My hair obviously needed the adjustment, but now I see the difference, and like my hair is just, it's health, it's at its healthiest that it's ever been. And if you haven't, I mean, if you can tell,
It looks
I mean,
amazing.
color,
Yeah.
I have color in my hair. So usually like after color, I would notice like, you know, people's or my own hair just like very brittle, very dry. And I was like, but I have color in my hair and my hair is not brittle or dry since switching over to no suds. So it's a great thing.
Yeah. And I've even like, I noticed my hair and your hair too, like it looks so much shinier lately too. It looks beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yours does too.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of Paulina's hair, just like to throw it out there. Like one day I saw her hair and like all of a sudden, like, and it must have been like right when you switched over to like Young Living, because your hair, like one time, like it was short, and then like a month and a half or two later, like it was just like beautiful. It was just
That was Ningxin Sulfurzyme girl.
it
That's
was
what that
gorgeous.
was.
I was like, whoa, like I was thrown back. It was beautiful and it continues to be beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Number 4, you can't use hair oil if you have oily hair. That is one that I've heard quite often as well. People say, because we talk a lot about the Mira hair oil, right? We love our Mira hair oil, but a lot of times I know I've gotten questions saying, well, I have an oily scalp, you know, I can't use it on my hair, or even essential oils. People think you can't use essential oils on your hair, and that's completely different because essential oils are not, it's not what do you call it? Like a fatty oil. It's volatile, so it evaporates. It's not going to cause your hair to be greasy. So that's different. The hair oil we're talking about has to do more like with jojoba or argan oil, that type of thing. So hair oil actually is amazing for smoothing out frizz. It adds shine. But oily hair, people cringe at that thought. But if you think about it, most time, if you go to the salon, your hairstylist will recommend using a hair oil on you. And it's because it restores moisture. Remember, a lot of times we were talking about certain shampoos can strip your hair of moisture. So your hair actually needs moisture. You might be oily up here, but down here you might need moisture. It helps with shine, elasticity, and softness, especially if you use chemical treatments on your hair. Color, bleach, perm, whatever. Perms aren't as common now, but still, it's great for that. So I love this quote we found, and it says, I'm going to just read it because I think it's good. Individuals with oily hair should not question whether they can use hair oil, but rather where they should apply it. I thought that was so good.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So maybe Lee, you can tell us where we should put hair oil.
Okay, so hair oil should go at the ends of the hair. If you have oily scalp, at the ends, it'll help bring that balance, because remember, if we're putting the oils here, your hair will gravity will naturally bring it down. And if you already have an oily scalp, you're already creating, it's already happening. So you don't need to add more to that beautiful scalp of yours or hair of yours. Just add it down here at the ends of your hair. That'll help seal and keep your hair shiny.
And your scalp doesn't really need hair oil unless you have a dry scalp. We'll get into that later. But as a rule, especially if you have oily scalp, you don't need oil there. So you're not putting there. And as a general rule, hair oil, or most products really, you really want to do from your ears down anyhow. As a general rule, not always, there's exceptions, but ears down is usually a great kind of rule of thumb of where to apply depending on how long your hair is also. So if you have longer hair, like at, past your shoulders, ears down. If you have shorter hair, then of course, adjust as needed. Number 5, Lee, what do we have there?
This is a favorite. Is it dandruff or is it dry scalp? This has been, I think if I could count the amount of times that people are like, I have dandruff.
We have no more fingers to count this.
And I'm like, yeah. If I got paid for every time that person told me that, I'd be a millionaire by now. And yes. You open the hair, you take a look at it, and you're like, okay. So itchy scalp, white flakes. Don't think that it's automatically dandruff. You may want to, like, you see it, especially when seasons are changing, you might see it, and you run and grab the anti-dandruff shampoo, right? Mm-hmm. But you got to resist the urge, because
don't do it.
Please, I'm begging, don't do it, because it could actually make it worse. So flakes often mean that you need moisture in your hair, in your scalp, and you need to exfoliate. And usually that happens when the temperature changes and season changes. So you might be noticing it right now, that you're starting to see maybe a little more flakes. I usually see it in September, October, when fall's coming. My hair, my scalp is so dry. But you normally that means you just need to moisturize and exfoliate. But so what's the difference between dandruff and a dry scalp? So dandruff is bigger looking flakes. They even sometimes if you take a look at it, they have like a yellow color to them, right? Like a cream color, whereas flakes are just flakes. They're white, they're flakes, it's flaky.
They're small, like tiny too, right?
Yeah.
Like they're smaller.
Yeah, it's like tiny, and you're like, oh, I can't get it out. And normally like dandruff, you see it and it's like very present in your scalp. Dandruff has bigger looking flakes. Your scalp is itchy and it's oily and red, and you have scaly skin on your scalp. That's dandruff. And dry scalp is caused by cold, dry air. You can see it in people who are older. Also causes an itchy scalp, but like we just mentioned, smaller, dry flakes, dry skin. You can also, telltale is like you see dry skin on your body as well. You tend to be a little more dry. And another reason could be contact dermatitis, which can be caused by products that you add to your scalp, like shampoo, gel, mousse, hairspray. All of those things can irritate your scalp and cause the itching or the flakes. It could cause you to see the flakes. So usually when we see something, usually there's an underlying cause to it, and not just automatically attribute and run and try to grab your anti-dandruff shampoo. Sometimes it usually means that there's a need that your body is asking for, and it's better to address it. So it's kind of like take a step back and think, okay, what have I been eating recently? What have I, like medication sometimes can cause that, hormone imbalances, and even sometimes eczema. So take a step back, take it back a little bit and think, okay, what could be the causes? Is there what changes have been happening recently that could cause this?
For sure. And a good thing to, so how do you know if it is product buildup or if it is dandruff? Well, dandruff and dry scalp, we already explained those two differences, but there's a way of knowing if it's just product buildup, because I would say, I don't know, it's a big percentage of people that think that they have dandruff, right? Quote unquote dandruff. It actually is product buildup. The way you can tell is, where is the flake on the head? Is it on the scalp if it's on the scalp, again, see the texture, the color, the size of it to know if it's dandruff or dry scalp. But you might think it's coming from your scalp, but if you really take a look and there's literally nothing on your scalp, it's just on your hair strands, that means it's product buildup. It's actually not dandruff. It is not a dry scalp. It's just product buildup. So that means you need to do a really good hair cleanse, rinse in order to get rid of it, and you'll be absolutely fine. So to fix dry scalp, and if it's not caused by an underlying health issue, because if you think back when it started and you realize, oh, it started once I started taking this medication, or I started not feeling well, or I've been really stressed lately, and that's when it started, then, or you have thyroid issues or anything like that. If it's not that, because then that would need to be addressed in order for your scalp to get better. If it's not that, it could just be that, again, it needs moisture. So doing a really good scalp treatment with jojoba, coconut oil you can do. I'm not 100% fan of coconut oil, especially I feel like it clogs your pores. So I'm not a huge fan. Some people love it, not to me. But jojoba mira oil to do a mask is my absolute favorite. I just heard of a recipe recently. Almond oil would be fine. Yeah, that would be, I think that would be fine as well. But the mira oil is beautiful for moisturizing hair scalp treatment. You add some lavender, some tea tree oil. Ginger is amazing for scalp health. So you can add some ginger, some cedar wood if you want it, whatever oils your scalp is needing. Not everybody can use lavender, cedar wood, so you can play around with them.
Rosemary is beautiful.
Rosemary is amazing. Yes, that combo,
I love rosemary.
It's so good. It really is. I use it I use it in everything for skin, for scalp.
Me too. I have an obsession with rosemary.
I have it in my diffuser right now. It's so good. I cook with it. It's just good. Yes, so we're gonna get to that with apple cider vinegar in a second as well. So doing that treatment, so right now we're talking about moisture. If your hair is needing moisture, okay, this is when you would do the oil scalp treatment. With the few oils, you just need a couple of drops of each oil that you're going to use. And then you rinse it out really, really, really well, obviously, and then do a double shampoo and condition your hair as normal. The other thing that is very, very helpful for healthy scalp and skin and hormones and all of the things is omega-3s. Super, super important for overall skin health. So we really recommend taking omega-3s, especially for women. Now, apple cider vinegar. There are apple cider vinegar treatments that are fantastical. One of my favorites to use, especially if you do have product buildup, it's a great one to use. I love using baking soda, tablespoon of baking soda to a cup of water. Add your little essential oils in there. Use that as shampoo. Then use a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to a cup of water and put that in your scalp. Give yourself a really nice massage, both with the baking soda rinse and the apple cider vinegar rinse. Your scalp will thank you for it. It is absolutely amazing. It will get rid of all the residue from your hair. And you could do it, I don't know, depending on how bad your scalp is. I mean, maybe once a week. I do it maybe every couple of months. It just depends. Oh, yay. Glad, Nancy. I'm glad you liked that. Yeah. So it's a tablespoon of baking soda to a cup of water. Add your essential oils that we spoke about. You can use whatever you want in there. And then a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to a cup of water. It's the same ratios. Tablespoon apple cider vinegar, tablespoon of baking soda, cup of water in each. And then you just rinse. And then the apple cider vinegar, you're using it as a conditioner also. It's balancing back out your pH after using the baking soda, plus getting rid of the residue. So comb it through your hair as well. Whenever you do conditioner, please comb it through. Comb the conditioner through your hair. So you're very welcome. So avoiding using products, obviously, that contain harsh chemicals. And if we can't avoid bleach, that would be great. A lot of us like to use bleach on our hair though. There are certain companies that are not as harsh. A company I really love personally is called Oway. There's another one called O&M, but the one that I really like is called Oway and OWAY. You can look for a salon in your area maybe that carries the brand. They have bleach, but there's no ammonia in it. And it's really, really good. It's the least amount of chemical that you're going to get in your hair and for it to look nice. So I recommend that one because these are things that are going to dry out your scalp. And if you need to stop, then you need to stop if you don't want to have a dry scalp. If you can't find a good color company and it's happened, just let it rest. How about dandruff, Lee? What can we do for dandruff?
Okay, so dandruff. First step is make sure that you are rinsing out your shampoo well. Because
can you say that again, please?
Okay, I'm gonna say it for the people in the back. No, I'm just kidding.
People in the back, please.
Make sure you're rinsing out your shampoo correctly. If not, it will make your oils it'll cause dandruff. So just really rinse it out there. Okay, take your time. Take it out to rinse it out. Can I share a story?
Please.
Okay, so it's happened to me before, okay, that I did not rinse it out, right? It doesn't rinse out. And I am blow drying my hair. And back here, I noticed that it's slick, okay? It looks like, just so you have an idea, it looks like I never washed my hair. Like it looks like day, I don't know, 7 of not washing my hair. And like, do you know how frustrating that is? That I'm like there and I'm already like blow drying my hair and I'm like looking at this and it's like slick. Give me a second. Give me a second. My mom had just walked in. Give me a
Yeah, I think that's happened to everybody where we do not. And the thing is, how do you know if you're rinsing it out well? If you think you're done rinsing and massaging like out the shampoo, you're not done yet. You have to keep going. That's
Amen.
when you know you've done it well.
Amen. And that's the and that's kind of like how you know. So guess who had to jump back into the shower and rinse it out?
No.
Because it's happened. It probably will happen again at some point, but make sure that you just really get in there and just rinse it out. Make sure it comes out. Also, stress can affect the health of your scalp. So try to keep those stress levels down. And what will help with that? Essential oils. So even though many dandruff shampoos, anti-dandruff shampoos claim that, hey, it's going to take it away, it's actually going to make it worse. And yeah, it really will. So try to use shampoos that don't have harsh chemicals in them. Using too much shampoo can also cause dandruff. Suds do not mean clean, which we already learned this, right? So also, I wanted to add, sometimes we think that more shampoo means more clean in our hair. And it doesn't. How much would you recommend, Paulina, that we use shampoo wise to be able to wash our hair?
Okay, so everybody's head is different size, right? I use a dime amount for my scalp. Maybe sometimes I use a nickel. Depending. But I literally put it through my palms, fingertips, and just do this. I massage it in my scalp. Like I don't put it all over my hair. Like shampoo needs to go in your scalp, not so much your ends. Your ends are for conditioner, your scalp, unless you're like somewhere where there's been like smoke and pollution, all of that. Yes, please do that. But it's going to rinse down your hair.
Mhm.
It's coming down your hair, the shampoo. So in gravity, exactly. Let the gravity take the shampoo to the ends of your hair. The ends of your hair do not need to be shampooed.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I use.
Yeah. Yeah. And you really don't like, I think max size is like a quarter size because you really
have a larger
don't.
scalp. I have a
There's larger
pea-sized
scalp.
head. Let me just say that my head is like this big. So
I have a big head. So normally I go about about a quarter. And that's really all you need. And I really like that you mentioned using this part of the fingers when you're washing, because that's when you're really making sure that you're getting the shampoo into your scalp, because that's, like we said, where we need it. I think it was with you we were talking about, was it with you about the importance of actually using this part of your fingers? Was it with you?
a while ago?
No, like maybe
Oh,
about
no.
2 weeks ago, maybe a week
Oh,
ago.
no. I don't, no, not me.
I was talking, then I must have been talking with another friend who's also like a colleague. And we were talking about how the importance of making sure you're using this part of your fingers, because if we're doing this, you're not really working into your
Do people
scalp.
actually do that?
Yes.
Guys, do you guys do this? If you do this, please put your hands up. No judgment. I'm just very
No
curious.
judgment. People do
No
do that.
judgment, I promise. I have not heard that before. Okay.
People are shy, but that's
Oh,
okay.
if you're shy, that's
It's
okay.
okay. It's okay. That's why we are here to educate. But yes, it's very important to use this part of your fingers. I forgot what they're called. I'm only thinking about it in Spanish right now.
Is it bed? No, finger bed?
Finger beds? I think the finger beds, la yema de los dedos. I don't know. But anywho,
Finger
make
pads.
sure you're really working.
Pads. I think it's finger pads.
Finger pads. Finger
tips.
pads.
Tips? Really? Is it tips?
Fingertips.
Fingertips. Thank
Is it
you.
really
Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
Fingertips. Use
She's
your
like, these girls
fingertips
need
to
help.
work it into your scalp, please. Yeah, that's my spiel. Paulina,
It was
you
a
wanna
good
talk
spiel.
about-
A good spiel.
about product buildup.
Sure. Yeah. So again, we have talked about this a little bit. Oh, and sorry, I think we've mentioned it, but just to reiterate, doing a double shampoo is also really important, especially if you do have an oilier scalp. You might need to do a double shampoo rinse. And I have found a huge difference also since doing that. Sometimes I use 2 different shampoos too. I'll do it depending on if my hair is oilier or if it needs moisture, or if it's a little bit oilier, it depends. I'll swap the shampoos. You don't always need the same shampoo all year round. That was just, sorry, extra little spiel tangent.
No, and it's true, because like I have naturally curly hair like Paulina does. And when I leave it curly, I obviously can go longer because curly hair tends to be a little more dry than straight hair. So I tend to use a different shampoo when I shampoo my hair after I style it curly than when I style it straight, or, when I do this. So yes, it's very important to alternate your shampoos depending on what you're feeling, what your need is.
Yeah.
Just don't strip your hair.
Okay, so you've identified that it's product buildup. It's not dandruff or dry scalp that you have. You need a clarifier. That's literally all it means, is that you need to clarify your hair and maybe change out the products that you are currently using. We talked about the baking soda apple cider vinegar rinse. That is great. However, my all-time favorite clarifying shampoo, whatever, of all times, promise, is Thieves household cleaner, Thieves dish soap, some oils, and water. I'm telling you, your hair sings after. It is absolutely fantastic. It's fantastic. If you want the recipe, I can just look me up on Instagram if you have Instagram, or send me a message. You can send me a message after. It's right, and it's beautiful. I love it. So if you have product buildup, this is what you need. Okay, number 6. You should only finger comb curly hair. I've heard this because I'm a curly girl. but it's not really true. So you don't want to brush out the curls, obviously, and then your hair be this big. We don't do that when you're curling. However, you need to detangle your hair for sure. So you can use your fingers, right, to take out the majority, the bulk maybe of the knots, and then use your brush to take out the knots of your hair. Whenever you condition, you need to be combing through your hair. You have to, like, doesn't matter what type of hair you have, straight, thin, thick, curly, whatever, coarse, please comb through your conditioner. I love the Tangle Teezer. It is absolutely fantastic, especially for curly hair. For other types of hair, it's great too. I really like it. There's also one called the Denman brush, which a lot of people like. I've used it for my hair personally. The Tangle Teezer is better, but for others, they prefer the Denman brush. It is a little bit more expensive. And very important, no matter what type of hair you have, is you always want to comb starting at the ends of your hair and not the top of your hair. Because think about it. If you have, let's say you have a string, right? And you put a bunch of knots in the string and you try to take out the knots like this, are they going to go anywhere? No, you have to take out the first knot on the bottom and then work your way up. That way the string no longer has any more knots. So it's the same thing with your hair. If you don't take out the knots at the bottom, you're just going to be accumulating all the knots, and it's going to put so much pressure and tension on your hair, and it's going to break. So you always want to comb, start with the ends of your hair and work up. Anything else you'd like to add on that, Lee?
No, just the fact that, yeah, it's so true, because you'll end up matting your hair. And then later on, you'll be like, why is my end so fried? Yeah, definitely that. And the Tangle Teezer is amazing.
Really nice.
It really is. I just got my hands on it. I had been using the wet brush. The wet brush is good, but it's not as good as the Tangle Teezer. Like, I found it at Target. So if Amazon's not an option, Target's a great place to find it. And I love it. I love it. And it's true, when you do, I can tell the difference in how my hair, how the coils stand or stay when I'm using the brush instead of using my fingers. I feel like I have more body when I'm using the brush instead of just my fingers. FYI.
Yep. I love that. Let's see, Christy. Any curly hair product recommendations? So I'll tell you what I use. I use Young Living products, and I also use products from Oway because they're a more natural line. They're an organic line. That's the other line that I like, and they have products for curly hair that I really like. So they have a shampoo that I like from them. So I alternate between Young Living and their shampoo. The double shampoo I do with one shampoo with Young Living, the other with the Oway. And then I use Oway's gel for curly hair, which I also really like. It kind of turns into a little bit of a mousse consistency once it's applied. So I like that. My hair likes mousse. I don't use it because I haven't found a mousse that is not full of junk. So this gel is a nice happy medium for it. And then the Mira hair oil is absolutely beautiful. So you apply the gel first, and then you lock it in with the Mira hair oil, and it's really, really nice. The important thing with curly hair, more so than products, because the curly girl movement or method, as they've said, is so product heavy in their theories, which, yes, you need enough product in your hair as a curly girl in order to keep the curls staying, looking nice. But the key to good looking curly hair is the method you use to shampoo, rinse, condition, and style your hair. If you get that and comb through the product, if you can get that down, your curls will love you. Washing your hair head upside down is going to help for the gravity and for the curls, if you're a girl with curls, to form. And then using that Tangle Teezer brush to form the curls, it locks, it's almost like if you were to use a curling iron, like it literally like forms the curl for you and it stays in place. So really doing that alone, even if you didn't use other products, is going to help tremendously. What else would you say, Lee?
I'm going to add in two things. I fully support the washing your hair upside down, regardless. Like think about it. When you go to the salon and you get your hair washed, where do the girls start washing your hair? Usually they'll apply the product and work from the bottom up. So honestly, you will see that your hair gets washed better when you start from bottom up instead of this down. It works better. Washing your hair with your head down this way is just glorious. And then the second thing is for curly hair. Also, I've noticed that sometimes, like with my curls, less product is more. So I've noticed that just even getting a little bit of conditioner and adding some water in it and spraying it down and leaving it in is like, my hair loves conditioner. Like I could just be on conditioner and a little oil and I'm done. Like literally that's I can only do those two things. Like, of course, sometimes I add more stuff depending on what the weather is like. Cause if you're a curly girl, you know. Yes. But less is more. Less is more. And I totally agree with Paulina's way of doing it, because you're not adding a bunch of stuff to your hair, and it contributes to the health of your scalp and your hair, those precious locks. So, oh no.
Yeah.
Okay. My phone rang and then like everything.
Oh no. We're here. I see you. You're good.
Okay, good. But yes, just those 2 points supporting
awesome
what you just said.
Yeah. And then Luz, you mentioned that you've heard that to not add conditioner to your scalp, only to the ends. That is mostly true. However, with those who have curly hair, you actually can use conditioner in between shampoos on your scalp, very little bit, just like a very, very tiny amount, and use the tips of your finger, Tracy, and massage it really, really well into your hair, your scalp, and rinse it really, really well. Curly girls who need moisture for their hair, that actually works really well for them. But if you're shampooing your hair and then adding conditioner at the end, yes, you probably want to, for the most part, you would do the same principle, ear down, usually, is where you can apply the conditioner, and then you comb it through. And as you're combing it through, the top of your hair will also get it a little bit at the end as well. But if you do have a oilier scalp, yes, make sure that you put, start your conditioner a little further down, and that would be fine. What do you say?
Mm-hmm. I fully agree. Yep.
Okay.
Fully agree with
that. Number 7, split ends can be repaired, right, Lee?
No.
No.
Once they're done, they're done. Like, you're done. Once your split ends are split, there's no coming back for them. Okay, there's no magical serum that'll like make them go away. What happens is that the hair splits. It's just split and you can't put it back together. I mean, you could put oil in it, it'll just seal it momentarily, but they'll still be there when the oil goes away. So the only way to get rid of split ends is a snip, just a little trim. Mm-hmm. And the way to avoid them is having regular cuts every so often, every 6 to 8 weeks. I would tell my girl, all right, just give me an air trim. Sometimes, like those 6 to 8 weeks, you don't need a heavy haircut. You just a little trim. And the best way to avoid it, and I'm sorry to tell you, is avoid the hot tools. The hot tools can cause or will cause those split ends because you're constantly, all that heat is your poor little ends. And the thing is that it doesn't start down here. It starts up here. So think about it, if you're curling your hair and the heat, and you have a lot of heat, or you're blow drying constantly your hair, all that heat is already breaking down your strands since up here, or wherever it is that you start curling or blow drying or whatever. So try to avoid the hot tools. And like Paulina just said, the way that you brush your hair makes a difference. I promise. The way that we're brushing our hair, I know sometimes we're like in a hurry and you're like, boom. But reality, brushes, if you're brushing your hair little by little, bottom up. From the bottom up.
Bottoms up.
Bottoms up, guys. Bottoms up. Working against the gravity. We're always talking about working with gravity, but this is the one time that I'm going to tell you to work against the gravity and work your way up. With brushing your hair. That's the best. Those are the best ways of avoiding split ends, because once they're split, you can't fix them. You cannot repair them, unfortunately.
Yeah. And there are certain products that claim to mend split ends. And if they're saying that, you might want to look into if it's a company you'd want to use, because a company that says that, I don't know what else they're doing because it's not accurate. You can't mend it. Can seal it for a little time, like Leanna says, but it's not fixing. There's nothing that can fix a split end. It's been split. It's like a piece of paper. If you split the piece of paper, it's split. There's nothing you can do to add to seal it back up. So it does need to be trimmed. And avoiding hot tools is great, but especially if you are seeing split ends, you really do want to avoid them, because imagine, you know what it looks like, right? It's stripped. So you see how fine and thin and fragile your hair becomes. So if you're adding heat on top of that super fragile hair, it's going to weaken your hair a lot. And then what happens is you're going to have to end up cutting your hair super short. If you have it long and you don't want it, cut it short, because all of that is just, that's what happened to me. Yeah.
I waited a very long time. Taking care of others, you got to take care of yourself too. I waited a very long time, and my hair was long, but it was like split ends, a solid few inches of pure split ends. And my stylist said, you know what? You already know what we're gonna have to do. And I was just like, just cut it, like, just get rid of it. Like, and it makes your hair scraggly and it just doesn't look great. So the best way to do it is just maintain it every 6 to 8 weeks. Just pop yourself in, and just, even if you don't want anything dramatic, just, a little air cut every so often will help the hair strands. It'll help your hair. Those gorgeous lock fingers.
There's a little tip that you can do if you cannot get to the hairdresser every 6 to 8 weeks. Be very careful with doing this, but it is a little tip. If you take your hair into sections and you twist your hair, you'll see all the hairs that are split sticking up from the twist. There's your strands that are twisted together. You can just take scissors, not paper scissors, please. But if you have real scissors, hair cutting scissors, you can get them for cheap somewhere, and just snip off those ends. That'll prevent it, at least from it getting way worse, if you're not able to get to a hairdresser soon. Because if not, it's just going to keep splitting and spinning, and it's going to go higher and higher, and you're going to end up having to cut off more. So that's a little tip you can do if you feel comfortable with doing that. But there's a little extra myth I did want to address, and it has to do with gray hair. So a lot of people feel like if you have gray hair, I've been seeing more people going gray more now than ever. My mama went gray. I think Rachel also is going gray.
Beautiful.
And growing up, I didn't like it. Well, at least my mom, I was not happy when she went gray because I was like, you're not my mom. My mom has brown hair. My mom does not have gray hair. And I couldn't like see her with gray hair. So I didn't like it at first. Now it's absolutely gorgeous. She has like this gorgeous, like white strips in her
Oh
hair. And
my
it's
gosh, it's
gorgeous.
gorgeous.
Whole family's great. Yeah, it's beautiful. But a lot of people say that gray hair will make you look older. There is a case where that might be true. It all has to do with coloring. The color of your grays in contrast to the color of your skin. Sometimes it's not complementary to your skin, the type of gray. There's some who have more of like a yellow gray to their gray, and it's not a beautiful gray or a gray that maybe it's good on somebody else, but for your coloring, it's not great and it could end up aging you. But there are other grays that are more white or stark gray. And if you have a color skin that complements that, you won't necessarily look older. It'll just look really cool and really beautiful. So that's a myth too. Having gray hair is going to make you look older. It really has to do with the color of the grays and the color of your skin. And it doesn't matter if you want to go gray, you go gray anyhow. But just if you want to not look older, and you're very young, let's say you're in your 20s or early 30s and you're completely gray and you don't want to look older because the gray color is not that great first, yeah, maybe color it a little bit, wait to see the grays come in a really nice color and then start letting it go. So that was one other little myth I wanted to debunk. That was fun.
It was so much fun. I hope you girls enjoyed it.
Yes. Does anybody else have, oh, I love it. Embracing my grays too. Do it, Luz. Go gray.
Right on.
Removing yellowing. That's a great question. So there are a few reasons why hair goes yellow. Sometimes it has to just do with genes that it's just some have yellow. Yeah, it doesn't go really gray or white. It is more yellow. Some has to do with your diet even or supplements that you take. That could also cause it. But using something with violet in your shampoo can help at times for it to not look as yellow. So a lot of violet shampoos, unfortunately, are full of synthetics, but you can use a little bit of blue tansy in your shampoo.
Literally, I was just thinking, I wonder if she can use blue tansy because it has that blue tint to it.
Yeah.
Valor.
You can
there
try
you
that.
go, Rachel.
Yep,
you got this. You got this. Try it out and let us know. You got to let us know how it looks.
Yes, please do. Thank you all so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Happy to help. But this was super fun to debunk some of these myths. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you, Lee. Bye.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.